Okay, it's good news. Let's move on now. Lupin has had a couple of good news, of course, from the US FDA, from the UK MHRA. There's been go-ahead for the Goa plant as well. Ramesh Swaminathan, CFO and ED of Lupin, is with us now. Mr. Swaminathan, good morning. Thanks a lot for joining us. Tell us, from here on, how are things going to move? Because you got a couple of clearances, but the problem with Lupin has been that you maintained on record as well that FY19 is going to be tepid year and FY20 is the one where things would start to look up. Is that position still intact?
That's absolutely true. The good news in the recent past, of course, has been the MHRA inspection for Goa and the Health Canada certification for Indore. Both were indeed in line with what we really expected. In the case of MHRA, the inspection actually took place towards mid-March. They had some observations, but they actually classify into three parts: critical, major, and other. There was none in the case of in the bucket of major or critical. They're all minor observations. They also sent in their official report just a couple of days ago, and that's what we actually came to the press for. In the case of Canada, a similar story, and they're pretty happy with, in fact, the validation. In both cases, we shared with them the FDA updates, and to that extent, and our commitments in this regard. They're pretty happy with that as well. Speaking about the FDA remediation itself, so we have been sending a monthly progress reports to the FDA. This is the fourth one. We also have Lackman and Paraxel, who are the consultants to help us out on this. The remediation measures are going as per our plan, and we do believe that by the end of this year, we do expect, in fact, to be in a position for readiness by April, and we would ask them to come over. But I guess it will happen during the course of 2018, and December 2018 is when we think this remediation would be on.
Okay. Good morning, Ramesh, and thank you very much for joining us. So, can one work that you will have you will not be able to have normal sales to the US for FY19, that any normalcy is restored only for FY20?
In a overall sense, that is absolutely true, Latan. But there are exciting things to look forward to during the course of this year itself.
Okay.
We do have on the generic front, we do expect, in fact, Levothyroxine to be launched at the end of the year. We have Ranolazine also, there is some exclusivity associated with that. Not so much as the generic story goes, but on the specialty front, I think we are really looking forward to the launch of Solosec, which I think is going to be pretty exciting from our scheme of things, because it's a foray into women's health. As you would know, it has exclusivity for 10 years, and we would like to make a big story of that. Other exciting things, of course, the emerging markets continue to do pretty well. India is, of course, poised for a good 15 to 20% growth, 15 to 18% growth. Markets in South Africa, Philippines, Brazil, Mexico, all of them are looking pretty good for us. Whilst the performance in Japan and perhaps and America would be a little lackluster. Japan more because of the fact that there is going to be continuous, there is going to be a price revision this year. But that's insofar as the advanced markets are concerned. But the emerging markets, which is really 50% of our story, is looking good for us.
Okay. Mr. Swaminathan, so when exactly can we expect a letter to be sent out to the US FDA for a re-inspection of the Goa as well as the Pithampur facility? If you could just reiterate that for us.
I would imagine by the end of April, May, it would be done.
Okay, so you expect the remediation to be completed by this month, or by the end of this month, or probably by the end of next month?
That's true.
Okay. Can you just tell us why was there a difference between, say, what the US FDA thought of the facilities vis-a-vis what the Canadian regulator as well as UK MHRA, more so the Canadian regulator, because they seem to be working very closely in terms of other inspections. So if you could just provide some color on that.
And just to add to that, because Ramesh, because Canada and UK MHRA have given a positive note, should one expect, therefore, that US FDA also might? Should we interpret it that way at all?
Let me come to that. It is a fact that when it comes to the developed world, the regulators do speak with each other. And when the UK MHRA authorities were out here, they did ask for, in fact, the updates on the FDA remediation process as well. And they're pretty happy with that. And that's the case with, in fact, Health Canada as well. Would, in fact, the American authorities see it in the same lens? That's a difficult question to answer. Each regulator, of course, has his own way of looking at things. The lens that they wear could be slightly different. But I do, be pretty positive about, in fact, the outcomes of, in fact, the FDA when they come over in December. So I do think that we would be in a position to be pretty optimistic at this stage.
Okay. You did mention about the growth that you see in various markets, but to drill it down to the margin performance, that's been the key disappointment for the company in the last few quarters. You still see a lot of pricing pressure, and could we continue to see pressure on the margins in the next few quarters?
There are two parts to that, So, yes, there is going to be price erosion during the course of this year. I do expect it to be in the high single digits. It's going to be 9 to 10%. In our case, in fact, the margin pressure is more because of loss of exclusivity, as is well known in a couple of molecules, and that actually costed us pretty heavy. And there was commercials in other parts also. We had, the GST onset in the course of this year, and that impacted India. And there's, of course, pressure in other parts of the globe, including, Japan and so on. And I do expect it to stabilize over time, but next year, of course, is going to be more or less the same region as this year.
All right, Ramesh, thanks a lot for your time today. That's Lupin, stock up about 0.75%. The market has moved to high point of the day. By the way, ISEC has settled 16% lower in pre-open.